Get ready for dictation, please. 5 seconds. Start. Madam, through you, I just wish to answer the queries of the honorable member. I appreciate his concerns for the health sector. Keeping his concern in our mind, we have been reviewing the situation in all the districts of the country. We have selected 18 states which are high priority states. Within those states itself, we have selected 184 districts which are lacking in facilities in terms of infrastructure and manpower, etc., as compared to other states. There are, you can say, in every state at least 25% low performing districts as compared to others which have been included in this category. To improve the health infrastructure in these 184 districts in particular, we have been focusing on helping the state governments and also simultaneously monitoring the improvement there, whether it is improving the existing community health centers, primary health centers and sub-centers, or giving them finance for starting new primary health centers, sub-centers or the community health centers as per the population norms. It is because for us lowering the maternal mortality rate and the infant mortality rate is a big priority area. Simultaneously, we are ensuring that we have improvement in our manpower. For that, we have helped the states in opening up of new medical colleges, relaxing the norms for ensuring that we have more medical students, graduates and postgraduates coming out of the medical colleges, and also relaxing various norms for the opening up of medical colleges, as well as ensuring that some of the district hospitals are converted into medical colleges. Also, for improving the manpower, we have given some incentives to the doctors who are serving in the rural areas. Suppose they serve in the rural area for 1 year, they get a 10% incentive in their competitive examination for being eligible to become a postgraduate student, and that can continue for 3 years. In fact, they could get up to 30% incentive. There are similar other incentives. There is 50% reservation or preference for doctors who are serving in rural areas. There are many more things like this which we have been doing and which we propose to do. There is a continuous process of monitoring whereby we send our specialist teams through the center. These teams have members not only from the government but also from the private sector, from the various organizations of the United Nations, and those who are helping in the health sector. We act on the various inputs provided by these teams from time to time, and we are in the process of continuous improvement. I agree with the honorable members' concern that there is definitely a need to further improve services in the primary health centers, and more particularly in the rural areas as well as in the tribal areas, but the process is already on and we are determined to improve them and take them to the best possible levels. Madam, whatever the honorable member is saying is probably correct, but the facilities are not as bad as he is describing them to be, that the primary health center has only got a pen, pencil and a pad. There was definitely a proposal by the previous government to send these doctors after they have finished their post graduation to these rural health facilities. But as per my information, the proposal was not pursued by the earlier government because of a lot of opposition from the doctors. Now we are reviewing the whole situation. We are in the process of discussing and deliberating upon this issue in our meetings and with our various officials in the ministry and with Indian Medical Association and various other related groups. Now we are positively thinking of sending the postgraduate students to these places while they are pursuing their post-graduation medical studies. During that period, we propose to send them to these places. I am sure that in the near future, we shall be able to resolve this issue. It will certainly help in improving our manpower situation at the primary health centers. Speaker Madam, in our country, there are no proper health facilities for the people who are living in rural areas, particularly for tribals, Dalits and other weaker sections. They do not have any infrastructure to go to hospitals as they live in hilly and forest areas. Understanding they used a health service in Karnataka when I was the health minister in 2008. Therefore, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister whether the government proposes to introduce mobile health services in rural and tribal areas. Madam, I wish to inform you that there is already a provision in our scheme in which we provide at least 5 mobile medical units in one district, and if there is a demand from the respective state governments, then these mobile medical units are provided to the districts, particularly for the hilly and tribal areas. I am thankful to you, sir, for giving me a chance to speak in this debate. I am glad today the Prime Minister opened his speech with a reference to our relations with Pakistan. I would like to draw the attention of the House to what has been happening in the border area. I cannot attach much importance, nor do I expect any good result from the proposed conference between the two prime ministers. In the last 11 years, we have had a number of such meetings and conferences. What the Prime Minister has read out today from the letters of the Prime Minister of Pakistan and his subsequent statements will clearly prove that the Pakistan Prime Minister is hardly serious about the meeting and he does not know his own mind. But the fact remains that the position in the borders of Tripura and Assam and also in some areas of West Bengal adjoining the Pakistan border should receive the attention of this House and government. Papers this side may not publish all the details, but we in Bengal and in the eastern part of India get more detailed news about what has been happening. I can make some allowance for possible exaggeration in some reports in newspapers, but in spite of everything, there is no denying the fact that large numbers of people have been leaving their hearths and homes from those villages and are now more or less homeless refugees in a most deplorable condition. I think it is the duty of this government to see that the border people are given proper protection, whatever may happen in the ultimate relations between India and Pakistan. As I have stated, I do not attach much importance to the conference the two prime ministers will have, nor do I expect much result to come out of that. At the same time, it is an obligation of the government to give necessary protection to the people on the borders who have been suffering for the last few months. It is a sort of Cold War going on, and if the government have not been suffering so much. The people on the border areas have been suffering terribly, and I expect the Prime Minister to give due attention to this matter and see that the people on our side, who are our citizens, should not be made to suffer because of some desperate actions of Pakistan due to some political or other motives. I would like to draw attention of government and the House to another matter. After the integration of Cooch Behar, there has been a number of small pockets. They have been called enclaves, some of which are surrounded by Indian territory but belong to Pakistan, and some surrounded by Pakistan territory but belong to India. Something has to be done about these pockets. It is nearly 7-8 years that they have been lying in this position. There has been no administration in those pockets, and the people there are living in a very alarming condition. There have been all sorts of crimes, murders, dacoities, etc. No administration is working in those pockets. In our pockets surrounded by Pakistan territory, it is not possible for our government to have any real administration in those areas, nor is it possible for the Pakistan government to provide proper administration in their pockets surrounded by our territory. So people on both sides have been suffering in these pockets. Then, sir, there has been a proposal of the summit conference. I do not know why America was fighting shy about this conference. I think my friend said that if India was to be invited to the summit conference, there was likely to be some complication and trouble that might have come from Pakistan. Pakistan, in fact, protested. Are we to think that the summit conference was abandoned practically to avoid giving any recognition to India as a big power, as a moral force? We cannot claim to be a big power from the military point of view. We have no military strength, no financial backing, no industrial setup of a big military power. But we have got a moral prestige, and that prestige was recognized at least in some quarters. We have been recognized as friends of all the weak nations who have been fighting for independence and liberation, and that is a moral asset. Lastly, I should say that our foreign policy has been more or less a success. There may be difference of opinion in minor details. The foreign policy of India, we can say, is not a party policy, it is the national policy. That is the general attitude of all the democratic countries. Foreign policy is not ideology, but it is formulated on the basis of national interest. Our foreign policy has also been formulated on the national basis, not on the basis of any party ideology.